We're going in Jeremiah. Uh, and, I know the books of the prophet are, uh, are kind of tough sometimes, but this thing with Jeremiah, this is where we are as a country. But saints, I wanna say to you, this is where we are also in our individual lives. Now we're not, Jeremiah, he's saying the things that the Most High told him to say and convey to the people, but I mean he's getting some backlash, man. And sometimes, when you sometimes you well, no. Sometimes I say, sometimes in looking at the scriptures, it sound like to me, you ain't necessarily promoting fighting, but some of what you tell us to say, Fred Sanford said, you say the wrong thing and it'll get you a couple of these in the lip. And sometimes when they say what thus saith the Most High, it upsets people, it angers people. And that's happened to some of us in here. We were talking in Insight, and sometimes, saints, our very presence in a different crowd, because sometimes going in and out, all kind of people. Good people, righteous people, slick people, people that's conning you. They come to you one way, but their heart is whole different. And they're coming at you that way because of who you serve. See, persecution isn't always what we think it is. It's different. I gave the analogy, you get invited to a dinner party or something, and the people that invited you, they invited you because they wanted you to come. But usually it's somebody that got invited, but it's not their dinner party. But they'll find out you coming. Now, golly, what you invite them for? Now we're not gonna have no fun. Or somebody said, well, golly, if I had known so and so and so and so was coming, now, well, I was gonna drink me a few whatever. Give me some Kool-Aid. You ain't said a word. But then there are some people are so brazen, y'all just arrive and you're giving your coats and everything. Oh, Lord, here come the killjoys. Some people are just that brazen. See, we get slighted all kind of ways, and we're not going around looking for slights. You ain't got to do that. It's coming. I said in class, I said, we get dissed a lot. Sometimes it just roll off our back, but some days it does hurt your feelings. You find out, people joking, and then you find out you the joke. Just because, you the joke in their eyes. Because of how you live your life. And so while I'm going over this, I'm not saying that we're all walking in the office of a prophet or whatever, but we're all trying to live our lives by the Torah, by his teachings and instructions. And when you do that, it causes other people, some that know they should be in lockstep with you, but they don't feel like it right now because the crisis they have in their life is so overwhelming that not even the Most High can fix it. They got to fix it. And they're going deeper and deeper in dilemma. and can't figure. Give an ear to what I'm reading. This is in Jeremiah 20. Now, when the Cohen Pashkur, son of Immer, chief official in the house of Adonai, heard Jeremiah prophesying these things, listen at this. He had him flogged. You know what flogged is? Beat. Yeah. I think that's an old English word. Flog him and send him to the gallows. Yes, that's what, when you hear that term flog, that means somebody got beat. He had him flogged and put in the stocks at the upper Benjamin gate of the house of Yah. The following morning, now, can you imagine Jeremiah? He's like, wait a minute. He holding his head, his back hurt. You know, he's aching, he's in pain. And he said, but I said what he told me to say. And sometimes that happens to us. You know, sometimes people tell you, you ever been in maybe it's a debate right now, but then somebody said, well, just tell me the truth. And then you tell them the truth. And they say, I ain't gonna get mad. And you tell them the truth. That's why, you know, sometimes depending on the nature of your relationship, if you're really that close, listen, folks. Don't ask a question if you don't want the real answer. Don't do that, because see, you putting the person that you asked the question to, you putting them between a rock and a hard place. If they know you well enough to know you won't handle the truth well. You know, there are different levels of friendship. Yeah. Now, you may have some, and if you have this type, you may have a friend that you can tell everything to, and they can handle it, even if it might hurt their feelings. But there are some people that every time it's always nice, it's always pleasant. But is it always nice and always pleasant? Because you're having what I call plastic conversations about plastic topics. I don't know. That's your relationship. Jeremiah obviously had a very intimate relationship with the Most High, to where what the Most High say, he would say. But it gets kind of hard, folks, when one minute you say, thus saith the Lord, and you're celebrated. Oh, my. Boy, they sure walk in the Spirit. But then when you do it another time and the people don't like what you had to say, false prophet. See, the thing with the Most High, he's going to be real with us. And I'm not saying this, I didn't create him, he created me. But in my studies, what I'm saying is he's a straight shooter with us. Now, sometimes I know in my own life, I know he looked away, because if he had looked at me, I would not be here. In my sin, in my folly, in my dirt. He looked away to spare my life. He's the same for you. And see, so when you start thinking about stuff like that, you'll get your rusty butt up and get in here just to say thank you. And again, I'm not throwing shade. I'm telling you, for what's coming down the pike, we need to build up some goodwill between us and the one that made us. Because when stuff starts, when the shaking starts, some good people going to lose some stuff too. And we don't know who it could be me. I hope it's not. I don't want it to be you either. That's going to be up to him. And it is up to us to some degree, because how are we living? How are we walking? Where are we going? Who we hanging out with? Why you can't be here? Because where you at if you're not here? Or where you at? And not just church again. If you told somebody you was going to pick them up at whatever, be there. Don't do people that, oh, it's all right. It's just Barry. Well, yeah, probably, more than likely, I'll be plastic and say, hey, I understand these things happen. But, sometimes I will say that, but on the inside I say, you know what? I'm not going to ask them again. And I don't mean, let me say this all the way out. See, sometimes you're asked a thing and you don't know it, but that person's counting on you. They came to you for a specific reason. And we're so casual sometimes about that. He'll get over it. She'll get over it. Don't do people like that. And for goodness sake, don't do the Most High like that. Because, see, we play nice sometimes. But he's real all the time. I'm serious. He's real all the time. And he can chasten us. And he let us, well, again, I'll go back to me, because I don't know what you do. But I complain. I complain a lot. I feel sorry for myself a lot. And he allows me to, whine and complain. And then when it's through, when I'm through, I realize, when will you learn? Now, I know that most of us, sometimes we know people, if we need to vent, we know who we can call and vent. So I understand that, because sometimes folks pluck your nerves. I don't care how deep you are, folks pluck your nerves. But hey, we got a good inclination, we got an evil inclination. He says, the following morning, when Pastor led Jeremiah out of the stocks, Jeremiah said to him, Yah no longer calls you Pashkur, but Magar Misaviv. And that translated as terror on every side. See, so what I'm telling you is, sometimes you spoke up. And let me help you with this too. You can use it or don't use it. A lot of times when you are saying, thus saith the Lord, if a car coming and I'm standing in the street, you can say, Barry, a car's coming. Get out the street. Or you can say it another, I feel the anointing. brother, move. You know, a lot of times uh, when we're given an unction for something and it's a situation, just talk to the person. Just tell them. I'm sure some of you have had. I know I've had it happen to me, and I always tell people, "Hey, if he got something, if he gave you something for me, let me have it." Now, I'm gonna what they say. I'm gonna keep it a buck. More than likely, I'll receive it, but more than likely I'm gonna put it on the shelf. And it has nothing to do with who it is, how long I've been knowing you. And it don't even mean what, oh, well, I know you. He can use anybody. Anybody. Whether they walk in that, what we call office or not. But let's stay on cue with Jeremiah now. Jeremiah, he done been beat up. He got flogged. He been thrown in the brig. One of the priests, or the Cohen, the priest, Pashka, called him out. Jeremiah still rubbing the back of his head. His back sore. He probably got welts on his back. He's jacked up. And he got jacked up doing what God told him to do. And sometimes we feel like, it's like, man, it's like I can't. You ever had a week where you get in an argument with everybody, just about? And it's like, well, now, let me share this with you. If I got in an argument with everybody that's close to me in the week, who's the common denominator? So that ought to tell us something. But you know how most of us, oh, Lord, the devil is busy. Everywhere I turn, opposition here, opposition there. And sometimes, hey, just slow your roll. See, you begin to realize, whoa, wait a minute. Hold it. No. Something wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. And, sometimes we know, we used to say, so-and-so got up on the wrong side of the bed. Sometimes we do know that about ourselves. Sometimes we know, my tongue a little sharp this morning. Maybe I better keep quiet. And see, that's kind of, Jeremiah, while he was in there, he was starting to have some second thoughts. He's like, man, if, doing this for the Most High, man, shoot, my head hurt. I've been beat. They don't like me. In earlier chapters, they was plotting against him, said, look, we tired of hearing that. And people have said that about you. All they do is they go to church all the time. Oh, just get on my nerves. That's how some people feel about us. Golly, you can't even tell a joke. They make everything. Well, they still saying that stuff. But we got to keep on. Now, again, sometimes, saints, it's not what we say, it's how we say it. Whereas a lot of times, I'm telling you, take some of that church stuff out and just talk to the people. Just talk to them, and you can still get his message across. See, because when truth comes, hearts recognize truth. Let me say that again. When truth comes, hearts recognize truth. But all this is going on in Jeremiah's mind. He's like, man, shoot, this ain't fun no more. Cause some days, man, it's pretty nice. And when you had those days where, man, you just had a good day, and I mean, stuff is just, the things you were concerned about, all of a sudden, it's like he just one obstacle after another. Oh, this is right. You get a phone call. Well, yeah, I know we told you this, but we've done this. Oh, my goodness. And then you go in, the group, maybe you had some words, and the person come to you and say, look, I just want to tell you I'm sorry, but, oh, my goodness. And you get to a point where you be like, I get fearful. I said, Lord, this is getting too good. And then one of my issues, when things are going good, now I'm starting to get fearful because I'm like, this can't last. When do we learn how to just enjoy the moment? Sometimes we're so caught up, and again, sometimes because we got our destination or the end to the destination, we don't enjoy the journey. And that's what life is about, enjoying the journey. Because I don't think many of us are in here, I'm waiting on that day when they put dirt over me. I'm not waiting on that. I'm serious. I'm making a joke, but I'm serious. Let's learn to enjoy the journey. Part of enjoying the journey is coming in here, being with your brothers and sisters, getting on one accord, finding out what they really think about some things. Of course, we're mostly discussing the scriptures, but you'd be surprised. You'll find a lot about a person's personality even in discussing the word of the Most High. And they're going to find out more about you if you're willing to share. And what's happening? What's happening is our hearts are being knitted together, and now you're starting to find out who you can count on when things get rough. See, because if you ain't never really been through nothing and all you know is fair weather conversation, you don't know what I'd be like when that stuff hit the fan. I might turn tail and run. I would hope I wouldn't. No, I'm serious. I'm not doing this for show. I'm trying to be real with people. Folks, I'm telling you, and I'm not promoting fear. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I'm just saying, be watchful. Be cautious. Be strategic, even when you're doing good. Keep some of your powder dry because somebody's going to need some help. Don't blow it all. And some of us, we go in, man, and the person might need $3 and you done gave them $100. What about somebody else? And then and I said, well, man, John, will you give me $5 so I can go get a sandwich? And John said, well, man, I just gave this guy, man, I gave him all I had. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm saying, well, yeah, that was blessed, brother, but I'm still hungry. How many times have we done it? Again, times are calling now. We got to be strategic. And again, particularly in well-doing, the scams are up. And they targeting our generation. They looking for us. One of the sisters told me last week, they're going back with this old insurance scam where they got your information and they send two guys and they come in like, you supposed to sign up for some insurance, knocking on your door, calling your name. That thing made me so mad, boy. But the sister said her grandsons came over, her granddaughter called the police. I was like, yes, that's what it's supposed to be like. See, folks, the tighter things get, the more desperate people gonna get. But we still, even in desperate times, we gotta toe the line. We gotta walk out, we gotta live out the Torah. Now, I know in doing that kind of put a target on your back. Because all the flimsy, flaky folk, they looking for somebody that's solid. Because they know you got something. All of that is in here? Yes, it's in here. Just a little different way. But he said, he changed his name, and it said that you will have terror on every side. It says, for this is what Yah says. He had Jeremiah say this to the priest that had him beaten, flogged, because of what he said, thus saith the Lord. He says, I will make you a terror to yourself and to all your friends. They will fall by the sword of their enemies while you watch. I will hand over all of Judah to the king of Babel, and he will carry them off captive to this city, all its valuables, all its wealth, indeed, all the treasures of the kings of Judah, to their enemies, who will plunder them, take them, and carry them to Babel. And you, Pashka, along with your entire household, will go into captivity. You will go to Babel, where you will die and be buried. You and all your friends to whom you prophesied lies. Remember I told you earlier, they were saying, well, if Jeremiah gonna keep prophesying, in other words, we ain't gonna pay him no mind. And if he keep talking, we gonna beat him up. That's my translation. But they gonna make life uncomfortable. People gonna try to make life uncomfortable for you. Don't give it up. Don't give it up. I'm telling you, the shaking is gonna start. UPS, oh, I wasn't supposed to. A company just laid off 20,000. And again, I'm not being political, but at the end of this stay with this tariff thing, Temu, they are no longer shipping stuff out right now. I saw that. See, I'm not making this political, but see, we got a good jobs report, and the economy still looks strong, but that's because people are ordering before the tariffs go into, so that's distorting how things are. And let me get back to this. But folks, please be careful in how you're handling your money. Please, please, please. And then he said, let me read that again. He said, and you, Pascha, along with your entire household, will go into captivity. You will go to Babel, where you will die and be buried, you and all your friends to whom you have prophesied lies. Because they were also saying, if he say this, we gonna say that. If he say that, we gonna say this. And see, that's how people do us. That's how people do us sometimes. You going in there, you come in, you think it's all, hey, we all know each other. Yeah, we all know each other. What you don't realize is some of the people, yeah, they invited you, but they don't really consider you in the group because you don't do what they do. You don't live like they live. And now, I'm trying to encourage you, keep living that way, because some of them going to come in on your side. See, we're supposed to be thermostats, not thermometers. See, a believer that's a thermometer, if you with people and they being righteous, you're going to be righteous. But if you with your other set of friends that your parents don't know about and your church folk don't know about, then you're going to do what they do. No, we're to be thermostats. We control the temperature wherever we are. And with Torah telling us when to turn it up and when to turn it down. Because see, by the same token, no, I'm not saying take the word and beat people across the head with it all the time. Because that will get you in a fight. Because books still hurt, even though it's got Bible on it. You hit somebody in the face with a Bible, it hurts. And if you swing hard enough, you can knock them out rather than use your fist and break a knuckle. How do you know, Barry? I ain't telling. So that means by me not telling, either I got knocked out, which could have happened, or I did something really bad and knocked somebody out. He wouldn't do that. Everybody heard of Eddie Haskell, haven't they? Leave It to Beaver. And then listen at this. He says, you fool me, Yah, I have been your dupe. You overpowered me, and you have prevailed. All day long, I'm a laughing stock. That's Jeremiah. He's saying, golly, this ain't how it's supposed to go. And that's how we do. Soon as something don't go right in our life, well, Father, why you let this happen to me? Well, let me stop. That's how I do. What all I got to do? Why you let this happen to me? What did I do? Golly, I'm tired. I'm this, I'm that. I had, last week was rough. You know how I always talk about having real friends. One of my childhood buddies passed away what they call Easter morning, and we had his services last Friday. And it really shook me up because we grew up together, and I had made a pact with, you all know Doc, y'all remember Tim Johnson. Well, this other gentleman, William Johnson, and they're not related, but I made the same arrangement with him that if I go before he would do what he could to look out for my family, and vice versa. Well, my buddy had gone over to his mother's, and he had cut her grass, and he said he wasn't feeling well, but he went home and he told his wife he was just going to lay down, and she let him lay down. And she went in to check on him, and she said he was breathing kind of funny, so they called the ambulance, and they weren't able to revive him. So when I got the call, of course, something like that just brings you to your knees. And what I'm getting to, I begin to ask the Most High. I'm like, well, Father, what's going on? I wanna continue on this journey, um, but it just appears that, I mean, we all got friends, but there may be some people that you know, when you make a vow to look after another man's family. I mean, that's not a plaything. That's a very, very serious thing. And and again, reciprocity. See, not a one-way street. See, but you don't enter those type of things lightly. That's not something that you don't do that just because you went to the ball game and y'all both had a good time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or somebody you enjoy going shopping with. Again, not knocking that type of thing. I'm talking about a real. Jonathan and David had that kind of thing. See, that's a real relationship. And we all know King Saul at one time, he had got jealous of David, and he wanted to kind of take him out. And David had opportunities to do that, but David had respect for Saul. And of course, we know he used to play music to drive that evil spirit away when Saul's evil inclinations started acting up. But do you remember in the passage where Jonathan basically said, on my life, I'm not going to let nothing happen to you. They loved each other. The right kind of love, folks. Not this flaky stuff society got going now. Let me get off of that. I ain't trying to get canceled. Listen. I went to call another one of my buddies to see if he would ride to the services with me. Friday morning. The thing was at 2. It was about 9. His niece answers the phone. He lives alone. He's not married. He lives alone. His niece answers the phone. Now I'm still thinking about my other buddy. But I knew instantly something ain't right. His niece, she got her own house. And I called his name, and I said, is he all right? And she said, no, they rushed him to the hospital. So I'm like, my head is spinning. I'm like, I'm like, Father, what is this? All the stuff is hitting so close to home. And so then I called another friend of mine that was coming, but they live about an hour and a half away. And I said, I called to see if he would ride with me. And she said, I know. He called me, and I told him, get to the hospital. And I wasn't going to call you And so she said, look, I'm on my way down there. I know you ain't in no shape to drive, which I was not. She said, I'll come pick you up. And so we went. And it was a beautiful service. And we went to the interment. And his wife, I was talking to his wife. And his wife, she said to me, what Doc's wife, she said to me what Doc told his wife to say to me. And I mean, I was like, oh, man, I mean, see, this walk, you can't do it half. You can't do it halfway. And I'm not saying this putting myself, folks, Torah encourages you to be real, not churchy. You know, men, I mean, ladies too, but a man word need to mean something. And you know, sometimes your vows and or promises, you might have to make good on them. And now, see, are you a person of your word or not? See, when you got stuff like that before you, you gotta just like Jeremiah, even when it becomes unpleasant, stay the course. Stay with Torah. Stay with Yah. Yeah, I know sometimes, wait a minute, how I'm going to do this? And Doc's wife was at the service. And she was at the interment. Jeremiah was saying to the Most High, he says, listen, man, this is getting to be a bit much, being too much. He said, whenever I speak, I have to cry, I shout violence and destruction. Thus the word of Yah becomes for me the cause of reproach and derision all day. But if I say, I won't think about him, I won't speak in his name anymore. Here's the key. See, because when we say, oh, this is getting too hard, don't nobody like me, I ain't got no friends, I'm still, go on. Stay with him. Stay with him. Yeah, it gets hard. And yo, you don't know how you're going to do it all. And here's the thing. You ain't going to do it all anyway. He's going to do it through you. And see, the thing is, again, I kept using that word strategic. See, we got to be strategic even in help. Sometimes it don't call for a whole tank and a bazooka and 5 aircraft. Sometimes just, hey, you know, make the call at the appropriate time, have the conversation, and develop a thing where they know that if I can, I'm willing. And you go on, because life don't stop. The journey continues. The journey continues. But keep your word. Keep your promise. He'll help you. He says, but if I say I won't think about him, I won't speak in his name anymore, then it seems as though a fire is burning in my heart. So I'm telling you, folks, those of us trying to live by his teachings and instructions, even when we do get a little weary and we get a little tired, and we say, well, shoot, I'm gonna take a break. Man, they was so rude to me. Something get to stirring. And he's saying to you, he's saying, son, he's saying, daughter, surely you're not quitting on me. Are you quitting on me? Surely you love me more than that. Am I not worth you inconveniencing yourself for my name's sake? Or he may ask it a different way. He may say, well, babe, do you really love me? Or do you only love me because of all the stuff you got? And if memory serves me correctly, and his memory is never faulty, you got some other stuff you asking me about. You ever had those conversations with the Most High? Jeremiah, he was a trooper, man. He got in there, and when he told him to say this, he said it, and he took the licks. And he said, man, I don't know if they had good dentists then, but seemed like he got hit in the mouth a couple of times. And I'm saying it's not always pleasant to toe the line. But we got to toe the line. And let me say this too now. Don't be letting nobody keep hitting you in the mouth. I know there's a teacher, turn the other cheek. Well, turn the other cheek, but develop a jab. What am I saying? I'm saying sometimes, folks, it gets uncomfortable. It does. It gets uncomfortable. And sometimes, I don't want to discuss this with them right now because it's going to be a fight. But sometimes you don't have a choice because he might say, well, hey, say it. But again, you don't have to say it to say it in a way that you know will antagonize the person. What does also for those that love to read the Bible, it says what? A soft answer turn away wrath. So again, you don't have to get that far away look in your eye. Just say what he said. Remember when that prophet came to David and said, hey, I got a scenario for you, old king. And he painted this scenario, and of course the scenario was about David. And David said, well, my goodness, such a scoundrel. And then I added that part in. And then the prophet said, well, that scoundrel is you. See, sometimes people, they will answer you and they'll give it to you in a, well, John, I got a story for you. And then I paint the story. And the whole time, I'm talking to John about John. Now, he may pick up on that. He got one or two ways. He can either let me say my piece. He can thank me. We can be in the parking lot. And Murray said, y'all two old fools, get up. Listen, what I'm trying to convey to you is sometimes it gets tough, but stay the line, stay the course. And when you can, say what he said, but say it in a way that you don't provoke people to want to hit you. So you say, I not only got to deliver the word, but I got to deliver it in a way to keep me safe. Yeah, if you value your safety. How much more on me? I don't know. How much more on him? How much more on Yeshua? What did he say? Nevertheless, not my will. And remember, I said, in my estimation, free will doesn't necessarily, to me, it does not necessarily mean I can do whatever I jolly well please. Free will to me says you can either obey my Torah or not. Those are your two choices. If you obey my Torah, you'll be blessed. If you don't obey my Torah, you will have to deal with the consequences. And I love you either way. That's my understanding. Get your own. But I know particularly in this country, when we talk about free will, we think, oh man, especially once you turn 21, you do what you want. Can't nobody tell you nothing. You grown. That's in the music. They got that in there in the rap stuff. I'm a grown this, I'm a grown that. You know. But have you ever noticed, I see it, have you ever noticed all of us over 21 until we get in trouble, and then we run right back to our parents or grandparents. We was 21 when we got into trouble. Now we want to be 15 and 16 when we come back to them for them to help us get out the trouble. He said, I won't speak in his name anymore. Then it seems as though a fire is burning in my heart, imprisoned in my bones. And I remember the old Baptist preachers, John, they used to say, shut up in my bones. They used to say that all the time. Well, that's a different, but he says here in this version, he says, a burning in my heart, imprisoned in my bones. I wear myself out trying to hold it in, but I just can't do it. And sometimes, I know we've all been told, if something going down and it ain't right, and if we remain silent, that's a form of consent. Well, sometimes if it ain't right and you can get out of there safely, get out, vacate the premises. Vacate the premises. Sometimes you don't need to go rushing in, especially if you're outnumbered. We got to be strategic in everything. And even in looking at Yeshua as our example, even when he was among the so-called learned, he knew how to volley back and forth with them. And he knew when he said things a certain way, it would anger them. Remember, there was one passage where they wanted to try to push him off a cliff, and he was able to work his way right on through. See, when you know the word, and when you're living by the word, you also are given wisdom as to how and when to dispense it. You don't go around with a gun like full of buckshot and just soon as somebody says something, boom. Don't do that. You damaging the harvest. I really like this particular chapter because a lot of us have been there. Sometimes it's like, sometimes the harder you try, the harder it gets. That's how it seems. That's how it seems. But don't give up. Don't quit on him. And I know you're not going to quit on him. We're not going to quit on him. We're not going to quit on him. We're not going to quit on him. If it ain't but a handful left, we ain't quitting. God bless you.
יברך אדוני וישמרך. יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך shalom. May the Lord bless and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.